Okay, our next question. What are some things I can do this upcoming election period? Okay, our election period every year at the time of this recording, government could change it in the future, is October 15th to December 7th. That is the national annual election period for Medicare health plans and prescription drug plans. That usually includes Medicare Advantage, Medicare prescription drug plans, Medicare savings accounts, plans like that. The marketing period for that, where we can actually talk about changes, is only 15 days. It's October 1 to October 15th, but you can't make changes then. And I start seeing companies do advertising right around September 1st, and they start talking about it. So it does open up each year how much and when you can do things, or talk about things, but you can't do anything until October 15th. So October 15th to December 7th is the time you can do things. In our office, we break this up into two different time periods. There's the time you can talk about stuff and the time you can do things. The time that you can talk about stuff even still is broken up a little bit earlier. So around September 1st, we start contacting our existing clients to actually find out, have their drugs changed any and have there been any issues. All we're doing is getting your information because we ourselves don't even have any information. So we can't tell you about anything new coming up when we start calling around September 1st. We're just going to get information from you. What is your satisfaction level? Extremely important. What drugs have been added to your list? What doctors have you added, or procedures that you're having done more frequently if you're in a Medicare Advantage plan? We want to get that information if you will share it with us, so that when it comes time for us to take a look at new plans, we'll be prepared and actually have some answers for you when October 1 comes, and we can start talking about, is it necessary to make a change to your plan, or is your plan going to be relevant to you the next year? So we're going to start getting information from you then around September 1. It does take us a month to get that information. Frankly, we don't even get it all in a month. October 1 is when Medicare starts releasing the new information, and we're going to be able to start looking into results of what we'd already gotten and seeing how it's going to affect you personally going forward. We can see how the plans are going to change in general, start taking the information you gave us, and start looking at relevance. And all we're going to do is talk to you about the changes at that point. And then October 15th, while we're still doing that, we're going to make the change. If a change is necessary. If a change is not necessary, we're going to do our best to make sure you have an understanding of your new benefits for the next year. If you have a prescription drug plan, it's going to be the new benefits on the prescription drug plan. If it's a Medicare Advantage plan, it's going to be all the benefits. And if you have a supplement, we're not even going to talk to you about it at this point of the year. No reason to talk about it. So those are what's going to be discussed. And after October 15th, if it's necessary for us to make that change, we're going to talk with you about making a change and starting the process of affecting that change if it's necessary and if you agree with our recommendations. So that's what's going to be happening on our end. The choices you get to make during the annual election period. Number one, you can sit the whole thing out. That's a terrible idea. You cannot talk to anyone. You cannot get any information. Everything that comes to you in the mail, you can throw out. You can ignore it. That's a terrible thing to do. I see new clients every single year about this. Don't just blow off the annual election period. There's a reason why people are trying to get in front of you. There's a reason, if you're my client, I'm trying to get in front of you, and that is because if the plan changes, there's nothing I can do about changing that plan after the annual election period is over in most cases. So I want to talk to you about changing your plan if it's necessary, and if it's not necessary, I want to be able to talk to you anyway to let you know it's not necessary. Your plan's going to be just fine, but you can sit it out. Statistically, about one-third of you, if you are eligible, are going to sit out this prescription drug plan, this annual election period. And that means that you're going to have no idea if your prescription drugs are going to be covered next year, even if they're covered this year, or how well they're going to be covered next year, even if they're covered this year. And if you're in a Medicare Advantage plan, you're not going to know if your copays are going to suddenly take a hike, if you're going to have a premium where none existed, or if you did have a premium, if the premium is going to take a hike, or if the doctor network is even going to change. So it's really important you don't sit it out. But that's the first thing you can do, the very first thing you can do. Now, the second thing you can do is basically just talk to me or someone else that's in this business. You can find out, is my plan going to be good? And you can start making comparisons. Here's things that can change. First of all, if you have a Medicare supplement, nothing's going to change really. Premium will change. For most people, the Part B deductible will change. Might be a few other changes depending on which plan letter you have, but for the most part, nothing's going to change. If you're one of our clients in a Medicare supplement, we don't even want to talk to you about it because there's nothing really there's nothing necessary to talk about at this point. We can talk about Medicare supplements later. I don't want to talk to you about it now. So the Medicare supplement, let's put it out of the way. We can talk to you about your prescription drug plan. You're going to want to talk about your prescription drug plan. Are the drugs going to be covered? How well are the drugs going to be covered? Did you get any new drugs? Did you get off any drugs? Are you going to take any vaccines or get any vaccinations this year that are going to be covered by Medicare Part D that you don't want to be covered by Medicare Part D, or in some way it's going to be an issue for Medicare Part D, or you've got something else? Basically, are there any changes to Medicare Part D that is going to conceivably happen to you based on the drugs you take, or the way you're paying for your prescriptions, or how much you're going to be paying for your prescriptions? That's what Part D is going to do for you, and we need to talk about that. And if you're in a Medicare Advantage plan, A to Z, soup to nuts, we got to talk about the benefits, we got to talk about the extra benefits, we got to talk about the doctor network. We got to talk about the hospital network. We got to talk about the drugs. And then we got to compare them to every other plan out there. Medicare Advantage takes a lot of work and a lot of time to make sure the plan is going to work for you. It is very easy to say, well, my plan works. I got my my annual notice of change in the mail. I know what's going to change in this plan. I'm fine with those changes. I accept those changes. And that all is fine. Problem is, you don't know how those changes are going to be in relation to the other plans. It's our job to make sure you are in the lowest cost, most benefit-rich, most appropriate plan for you each and every year. We take that seriously. If you're in Plan A, you've been in Plan A for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, it's doing a really good job, but there's going to be another one next year that's going to do an even better job, and they weren't available to you for the job you needed, or your health has changed, and therefore with your new health there's going to be another plan that's going to deal with that health better than the one you've got. We've got to tell you about this. You have to know this. So if you're in a Medicare Advantage plan, we got to talk to you about all that to make sure that the plan is going to be appropriate for you going into the next year. So those are the things that you could do this year. Really, you can do those things every year. Everything can be changed in a Medicare Advantage plan. And again, if you're in a Medicare supplement, this doesn't apply to you. Medicare supplements have a different set of rules. We've even dealt with that in a different Q&A. But it's important that we do that. So what can change? Everything and nothing. Remember that a Medicare prescription plan and an Advantage plan is an entirely new plan each and every year. Even if they look the same and in some cases even act the same, they're entirely new plans with entirely new contracts. We have to go over them each and every year. You can do nothing, you can do everything. That is what you're able to do during the annual enrollment period, annual election period, which is coming up October 15th to December 7th every year.